So we are deep into investigation, the second factor of awakening, Dharma Pakaya. And I want to loop back to something Bill said at the very beginning. He said investigation is tricky because we have so many associations with the word, so analytical, maybe even a little aggressive, cognitive, sleuthing like Watson and Holmes, which isn't wrong. It can be useful, but it's not what we're talking about. Why do we investigate? To learn more? To understand? Maybe to unlearn? And Bill also reminded us that there needs to be a certain amount of calm and balance in our investigation. It's hard to investigate when we're agitated or frenetic. We want to investigate so that we can begin to see and feel the ways in which we're stuck, how we're hooked, grabbed, rejecting, grasping. And Michelle McDonald's beautiful acronym of RAIN can be such a wonderful support. The R, recognizing what's here. The A, acceptance. This is how it is. And the I, investigate with a kind curiosity. Again, not so much about the content, but about how we're meeting whatever is here, whether it's on the inside or on the outside. The I is an intimate inquiry into direct experience. The orientation is out of the story into direct experience. And N, nurturing what is needed. Finding out what is needed is an important part of investigation. Rumi said, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you've built against it. When I say love, I'm referring to that quality of openness, acceptance, welcoming, and becoming familiar and curious about these barriers. That's an important investigation. And the investigation is the turning toward, the being with whatever is here in a non-judgmental posture of caring attention. Like, here you are, jealousy. I see you, aversion. This is how aversion feels in this moment. And of course, you're here, self-criticism. I'll be with you in a moment. I know you're not going anywhere. Our practice is teaching us to notice them, to breathe with them, to learn from them, and not to be so defined and limited by them. It's a good time to remember that they too are impermanent. They're just passing through. Our practice takes time and patience. And mindfulness is always pointing us in the direction of the heart, no matter what tradition we're practicing, Vipassana, Tibetan, Zen. Mindfulness is always pointing us in the direction of the heart. So think about some of the barriers that you raise around the heart. And on the other hand, what helps the heart to open? What helps the heart to open? In the West, we conceptualize the heart as separate from the mind. In Buddhism, the heart and mind are inseparable, bodhicitta. And it takes practice to see how the mind and heart work together as one. The heart can only stay open and connected to the degree that the body and mind are stable and grounded. And the mind can't be spacious when the heart is caught in attraction or aversion. I mean, think about it. When you don't like something, you made up your mind, you don't like it. How spacious can the mind possibly be? We want to encourage our willingness to let go of the tight and contracted stories, because when we do that, we begin to just kind of feel a little more spaciousness, taste a little of that, a little freer. And that starts to feel good. I was on a retreat out in New Mexico at Vallecitos, which is in northern New Mexico. It's very, very beautiful with mountains and pastures and streams. And we were very much encouraged to allow the land to hold us, to feel held in the land. And that wasn't hard to do because it was so, so beautiful. And several of our practices, were walking practices. We walked together in a group, and we also did our own solo walks. And one day we were asked, to take a solo walk and notice what draws our attention, what is beautiful, or what delights the eye. And we were then asked to just stay with this object for a moment, to breathe with it, look at it, close your eyes, kind of commune with it, and then move on. For about 45 minutes, this was the practice. The next day, we were asked to take another walk. But the instruction on this walk was to turn towards something that's unappealing, unattractive, or maybe something you would just be indifferent to. And like the day before, we were asked to turn toward this object, to look at it, to see it, breathe, eyes open, eyes closed, kind of, again, that communing with it. And the objects that I chose, some of them were cracks in dry mud, and tire marks, and a pile of dead leaves, and a small rusty pump. And of course, the dead leaves, the mud, the pump were part of the investigation. They were objects, but really it was an investigation of reactivity and aversion, and noticing how it shifted, how it changed, how it softened. The aversion wasn't solid. And actually, the objects became very sweet, very sweet. And I guess I'm going to put this in here. As I was thinking about my thoughts around this today, I remembered a documentary, and I was kind of looking for it. I saw this years ago, and in the documentary, family members, I think there was a brother, a cousin, an uncle, a grandparent, were asked by this documentary film producers to dress up as if they are homeless and sit in places, in front of a garage or on a street where their family members walk by all the time. And they did this for about 3 weeks. Not one family member saw their beloved family member. No one saw. And of course, when they were told about this, it was revelatory. Like, whoa, they just kind of that the indifference, the distaste, the automatic rejection and repulsion really prevents us from recognizing the value, the beauty of many things, even the so-called insignificant things, the unappealing things. So no matter what practices we are practicing, mindfulness is always pointing us in the direction of helping the heart to awaken. We want to live from an open and generous heart. And we want to investigate what supports this and what challenges this. This is a worthwhile investigation. I'm going to end my talk with 4 lines from a poem entitled The Most Important Thing by Julia Barenbacher. I'm making a home inside myself, a shelter of kindness where everything is forgiven, everything allowed, a quiet patch of sunlight to stretch out without hurry, where all that has been banished and buried is welcomed, spoken, listened to, released. Thank you guys for listening. Now we get to practice. Unfasten your seatbelt, free to move about. Remembering we have these bodies and they work hard and long for us. And listening to what the body is asking for, what might help it to open, to feel a little more movement. Even feeling the edges of a stretch and taking a breath. And this is how we set up the practice. And noticing, maybe even noticing a part of the body that you don't tend to notice. Maybe take a few seconds to notice and breathe with that. some sways. Some tapping. And when you're ready, in your time, coming into a posture that's comfortable and stable, orienting toward physical comfort here and making adjustments as needed. Eyes can be closed or soft gaze open. And simply noticing what's here with you today. Allowing the gaze to come inward. And taking some deliberately slower breaths if that's helpful. Allowing the breath to find its own natural and comfortable rhythm, pace. Inviting the body to settle, to relax. And you might notice sensations and pullings and aches, burning, tightening. Just inviting some unwinding. Reminding the mind that it can also relax and drop down into the stream of breath and body. Thoughts will come and go. Feelings and sensations will come and go. And we orient our posture to caring attention, spacious heart. Can the eyes soften? Can you feel breath breathing? Cooler when it enters, warmer when it leaves. Life unfolding in this sitting here. As if this moment is worthy of our attention. Soften and allow.